Hey, you two. Have you ever had or do you have a chronic health condition, anything like diabetes, heart conditions? I've heard of asthma now and cancer. It seems like they're all coming to the biblical Daniel diet sort of solution juicers and things like that. Well, I figured I'd share my story in video format. I've put it out there on the internet now for the last year or so. 2007, a family member pricked my thumb with a tester. The number was 417. That's not very good. That's pretty high. So I started reading right away, and it took me a month to get into a doctor, and the doctor experience was horrible. They wanted to put me on drugs right away or I was going to die, they said. Wrote letters, all that. But meanwhile, Dr. Bernstein, it was, real old guy, made it into his 80s with type 1 diabetes, wrote what he did in his book, and it was pretty much a plant-based Atkins-like diet, no carbs, sugar, or starch, basically. So I associated with the Atkins diet in words like that, but it's not really the meat-intense diet like an Atkins diet. So anyway, that was what I did, and for the first 3 months, I saw my blood sugar average was about 350 by the time I got my meter and got started tracking it. I got it down to below 150 within 3 months. 150 was a personal goal because I'd done mortality studies and figured out that the chance of dying from diabetes within 30 years, according to the statistics, were more likely to die from something else if my blood sugar average was below 150. That's sort of like a fasting glucose number. So at that point, I noticed that if I ate poorly, my blood sugar would start to ratchet up a little. If I ate better, it would start to come down a little bit. So I figured I was stuck watching my diet every day, all the time. So I figured I might as well address my weight. So at that point in time, I was already coming down thanks to the Atkins-like diet. In other words, I'd started around 245, and I was down about 235 by then. And so I just started watching how many calories I was eating and letting that influence me without controlling me, right? And at first I was shocked. I saw that I was eating 5,000 or more calories a day. That was kind of startling. It's kind of hard to imagine flooding the car with that much extra gas, right? So anyway, getting my calories down to below 2,500 a day. There's like a lot of psychology to try to, consider this food. Some things like cookies, I even did the chew it up, spit it out test, and then another test where I chew it up and swallow it. And what was so good about that? It wasn't really, I asked myself, where's the satisfaction in that? It was really a psychological process, food by food. And also with my wife, who was very passionate about her ability to prepare food and make good meals. So she makes like a lot of good meals for me and would kill me with kindness if I let her. Just like we have to watch, we don't kill our dog with kindness, we have to feed him appropriately. We could give him treats all day and make him fat, but that would be sad for him, right? So my wife and I have to balance that too. So aiming at my calories, and making those psychological decisions day by day, within a couple weeks I was losing weight pretty regular, averaging about 2,000 calories a day. Of course, I never wrote it down and never was that precise, but what I was doing was using the mobile phone to look up how many calories in each food selection, like going through the cafeteria and letting that influence the decision. So I was getting down to about 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day, and within the next 3 months, so that was 6 months from the time I learned I had diabetes, I had gotten my weight down to about 180, and that was a good target weight for me. And I kept in the 180s for about 3 years until about 6 months ago, which was when I started blogging saying I've reversed diabetes, and basically everything's been reversed and perfectly fine. And let's see, this summer I did the roller coaster on the weight thing again, which is to me not a big deal, but it kind of shows where my boundaries are in terms of my own body and stuff like that. What happened was I lost my job in May and stressed out a little bit and saw the weight go down pretty easily, actually, from 180. Actually, I decided I wanted to lose weight too, so I was partly intentional and partly stressed, and took the weight from 180 down to 165. Well, at 165, when I was skipping, I always skip meals and things like that, and then gorge when I have one, and so I'm not very regular about food. So when I was in that mode, when I was down to 165, I could start to feel the low blood sugar events and things like that. Not very much, but just, if I didn't have food regular 3 meals a day at that point, it was uncomfortable. So I made a conscious decision to go ahead and gain 20 pounds or so, and just pigged out for a month or so. And by the time I stepped on the scale, whoa, 205. Well, okay, so aim it back down, and that was 205 was probably August or so, and now it's December, and my weight right now is in the low 190s or so. And yeah, I'm intending to take it back down to the mid 170s is where I'm probably best. I'll probably take till May, June time frame to bring it that far down. In other words, my weight loss goals aren't that severe. My calories are probably averaging about 23 to 2,400 a day, maybe 2,500 a day. It's not that precise, but the point is, it's not an aggressive weight loss. It's very gradual, and it's very long term. And cheers. I have switched brands. I drink very light beer now, so this kind of beer is not really influencing my blood sugar. In fact, with beer, I saw that this light of a beer never affected my blood sugar, even when my blood sugar was averaging high. And back then, it was way more sensitive to sugar blasters, and actually, glucose blasters or sugar blasters were the core thing to get a hold of the diabetes situation. So anytime I ate a candy bar or cookie, there was a little bit of hysteresis. So the blood sugar would come up, but it wouldn't come back down to where it started from. Or if I never took it up very high, it never really changed much, and it always kind of drops a little bit in time. And in theory, if you never eat, then there's nowhere for the sugar to come from. So I don't know. That's kind of a lot of loose ideas that just kind of loosely fit together into a package, not really solid information. But the point is, every little bit helps. The dietary solutions help. I'm seeing a lot of common grounds with cancer and asthma and heart disease and various other chronic conditions that people that have been suffering. There's a new movie out. There's a whole bunch of new movies out now. Cancer Conspiracy, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And to me, they're all just kind of affirming the same things that I did about 3 years ago and am living today. And I actually wrote a song on my YouTube channel called Fountain of Youth, because I feel pretty young. It's pretty nice to enjoy the fruit of making your health better. My grandfather always said, if you have health, you have wealth.